So Larry Bird goes on to embarrass LeBron James especially, but the rest of the NBA today as well. And he does it by simply...
Modern basketball media may have officially lowered the bar to the floor, literally, because somehow a superstar simply diving after a loose ball was treated like a historic act of sacrifice. A veteran head coach was reportedly stunned. The media went wild. Fans started celebrating the play like they had just witnessed something legendary. But here's the uncomfortable question nobody wants to ask. When did basic effort become extraordinary in professional basketball? Think about that for a second. A player hit the floor for a loose ball, and suddenly it became a moment worthy of massive praise. Not a game-winning shot, not an insane defensive performance, not some impossible athletic feat, just effort. Basic effort. The kind of play previous generations were expected to make without needing a standing ovation from the entire basketball world. And that's where this gets uncomfortable. Have our standards actually collapsed? Are we now so desperate to praise today's stars that ordinary basketball plays are being packaged as legendary moments? Because if this is the new standard, then something has gone seriously wrong. And the craziest part? This wasn't even the only thing that made people lose their minds. The reaction to this moment exposed something much bigger about modern basketball culture. And once you compare it to what players from previous generations were expected to do, the difference becomes almost impossible to ignore. So ask yourself honestly, did this player really deserve all that praise for simply diving on the floor? Or has professional basketball become so obsessed with celebrating its stars that basic effort now qualifies as greatness? Because we need to have a serious conversation about the state of basketball today. Something has changed. Television networks, social media pages, and diehard fan bases constantly search for the next reason to elevate a superstar. And sometimes that means taking the most routine basketball play imaginable and blowing it up into a supposedly historic moment. But this latest example, it was so ridiculous that it almost sounds like a parody. And once you see exactly what happened and how people reacted to it, you might start asking the same question. When did doing your job become something worth celebrating like a miracle?
All right, so you got to take a look at this play. Look at this. The ball's loose. LeBron James dives on the floor. He gets the possession, or he gets the possession. Look at him. Like, I'm going to replay this for you and tell me. This is slowed down. Tell me exactly where does he get hurt? Where does he get hurt for that reaction? Let me play it for you again. Okay, so he dives. He goes on the side. Like, what the heck? He didn't hit himself anywhere. Nothing. It was a low dive. Do you remember Dennis Rodman dive? Did you see him squirm in pain?
The basketball world practically stopped because LeBron James actually hit the floor for a loose ball. Let that sink in. This wasn't a game-winning play in the NBA Finals. It wasn't a historic defensive stop that secured a championship. It was a routine regular season hustle play, the kind of effort every high school player is taught from day one. But because it was LeBron James, the reaction from his inner circle and media defenders was completely over the top. A basic basketball play was suddenly treated like something extraordinary. And that's where this gets ridiculous.
I told him after the game, I said, in 23 years of watching you play in the NBA and the 3 years I watched you play in high school, I never saw you make a full-out extension dive like that. And he said, you're right, I've never done that. It's awesome. I know he'll feel that tomorrow.
Okay, so you heard JJ Redick just describe that he followed his career since high school and never has seen him dive for a basketball like that. That tells you a lot already.
Then JJ Redick went to the microphone and made the moment even crazier. Redick said he had to pull LeBron James aside after the game because in his 23 years watching LeBron in the NBA, plus the 3 years he watched him in high school, he had never seen LeBron make a full extension dive for a basketball. Think about that. LeBron had spent nearly a quarter century playing professional basketball without his own head coach ever seeing him fully throw his body onto the floor for a loose ball. And LeBron didn't deny it. He smiled and agreed with Redick, admitting his coach was right. He said it was awesome. while Reddick joked that LeBron would probably feel the pain from that single landing the next morning. Then the media exploded. Articles and TV segments praised the 41-year-old LeBron for showing hunger and grit. One ordinary hustle play was suddenly treated like proof of legendary competitiveness. But here's the problem. If diving for a loose ball is historic simply because LeBron finally did it, what does that say about the standard he's been held to for the last 2 decades? And once you slow down the footage of that so-called historic moment, the story gets even more ridiculous.
All right, so you got to take a look at this play. Look at this. The ball's loose. LeBron James dives on the floor. He gets the possession, or he gets the possession. Look at him. Like, I'm going to replay this for you and tell me. This is slowed down. Tell me exactly where does he get hurt? Where does he get hurt for that reaction? Let me play it for you again. Okay, so he dives. He goes on the side. Like, what the heck? He didn't hit himself anywhere. Nothing. It was a low dive. Do you remember Dennis Rodman dive? Did you see him squirm in pain?
The ball bounces loose. LeBron tilts forward and gently slides onto his side to grab it. That's it. No collision with steel chairs. No flying over the scorer's table. No third-row impact. Just a slide across a polished hardwood floor. But then comes the drama. Instead of getting up, handing the ball to the referee, and running back on offense, LeBron stays down, twisting and squirming like he just survived a catastrophic injury. For the cameras, it becomes a full performance, making sure everyone sees the supposed sacrifice of simply touching the floor. And that's the real controversy. Why does every ordinary LeBron moment have to become a legendary event?
Look at Dennis Rodman. That was his dive. He just gets up and gets moving. Look at this. There's a shot being taken. Look at Dennis Rodman. Look at this. He jumps. Look how high he is. And he falls hard on the floor. Look what he does after the play. Boom! Slams and gets up and let's go. Let's keep playing. Look at this. This is LeBron James after that itty-bitty dive. This is LeBron James. He always has to put an act on.
To see why the LeBron moment feels so overhyped, compare it to Dennis Rodman in his late 30s. When a loose ball appeared, Rodman didn't gently slide onto his side. He launched himself several feet through the air, completely parallel to the hardwood. He'd fly over cameras, crash into concrete structures, and hit the floor hard on his back or ribs. And the second Rodman landed, he got up. No squirming for the cameras. No waiting for praise. No coach holding a press conference to celebrate him. He'd slap the floor, bounce back up, and immediately sprint into the next defensive possession. He did that multiple times a game, every night, throughout his career, because Rodman understood something simple. Hustle wasn't heroic. It was the bare minimum of being a professional basketball player.
Before cementing his stardom in his home country of Greece, however, Giannakis attempted to try his luck in the NBA. In 1982, Giannakis was drafted 205th overall by the Boston Celtics, and while he did make it all the way to training camp, the Greek star was eventually cut. Before he was cut, however, Giannakis had the opportunity to train with the Celtics championship core, which of course included the one and only.
But the real embarrassment for LeBron James and the modern NBA wasn't Dennis Rodman. It came from a historic Basketball Network article featuring a first-hand account from legendary Greek basketball icon Panagiotis Giannakis. For younger fans, understand the resume. Giannakis is a EuroLeague champion, 7-time domestic league champion, Hall of Famer, and one of Greece's greatest sporting figures. He came from the same ruthless European basketball system that eventually produced stars like Giannis Antetokounmpo. And when Giannakis describes what real basketball toughness looked like, the LeBron comparison gets uncomfortable fast.
And they keep me after this camp to the veterans camp. So I went with Larry Bird, McHale, Tammy Archibald, Gerald Henderson, Robert Parrish.
The greatest team ever, arguably.
Yeah. So I was almost because they cut me 1 week before start the season.
Wow. How was it with Larry Bird, man?
I love to remember that you dive, he's dived for the ball during the practice.
Every time.
He was crazy. He was crazy. He was crazy. He gave his best every moment. That was big lesson. I remember that. But I was like this too.
Before Panagiotis Giannakis became a European basketball legend, he crossed the Atlantic in 1982 when the Boston Celtics selected him late in the draft. He survived the cuts and reached veteran training camp, spending a week practicing alongside Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Cedric Maxwell, and Gerald Henderson before being released just 1 week before the regular season. But decades later, Giannakis remembered something far more important than statistics. When asked about practicing with Larry Bird, he called Bird's behavior crazy. Bird would throw his entire body onto the hardwood for loose balls during ordinary practices, even when there were 0 fans watching. Giannakis said Bird looked completely ordinary walking around in street clothes, but once practice started, his mind, body, and spirit changed completely. Now compare that with today. J.J. Redick reportedly marveled at LeBron James diving for a loose ball after 23 years in the NBA, while the media treated one routine hustle play like a historic act of sacrifice. That contrast says everything. Larry Bird didn't hustle for cameras. He hustled because that was who he was. No massive social media machine. No manufactured narrative. No celebration for doing the bare minimum. Just relentless competition. And maybe that's the real lesson. Greatness isn't built when everyone is watching. It's built in empty gyms, brutal practices, and meaningless possessions when nobody cares. So if you believe basketball needs less manufactured hype and more real competitive fire, hit like, drop your opinion in the comments, and subscribe to Hoop Lab for more raw NBA breakdowns that cut through the noise. Because legends don't wait for the cameras to turn on. They give everything when nobody is watching.